want to kick it off here, Timmy?
Yeah.
All right. So, just a little background. I'd been pretty interested in the markets for quite some time prior to really fully indulging myself. I was in grad school in about 2018, working a pretty shitty job, and all the while, after a couple months of that, I was like, there's no way I could do this forever. So I, like any naive, at that point I was like 22, 23. I was like, all right, I gotta do something to try and speed this up, right? Anything that I could possibly do to, cut down how many years I had to do that job and, maybe, shave off some years till retirement. So obviously, like many of you, you turn to the stock market and you're interested in that. And, when I first got into it, I really didn't think it would ever have, I guess you could say, like evolved into the way that I look at it now. At that point, just like many others, you're trading commons, and, at that point, I didn't have all that much money. I'm just coming out of college, get my first job, and while I was also in grad school. So at that point, I'm trading, a share or two of Apple, scalping it over weeks, coming back, looking for something else. And, in terms of charting, anything like that, I had no idea, like not even the slightest bit of an idea. So as time went on, at that point, about 2 years into, I'm just about finished with grad school. Then obviously COVID happens. And once that happened, I don't know what drew me to it. I guess maybe it was the excess amount of time that I could spend on it. But, I got really into it. And, 2 years of working, I did have a lot of money saved up. So I was ready to go. And, maybe it was stupid. Maybe it wasn't. But I came in pretty hot off those COVID lows, and I caught a nice return relatively quickly. I thought it was just really going to be the start of a long-term account that I wasn't going to touch or anything like that, and it really evolved fast, and then especially when you're on Twitter, and at that point I didn't even have this account. I was all on my personal account. So I'm trying to learn from other people. Nobody's answering me, of course, like a lot of these people on here, right? So I decided, I was like, you know what, look, I'm just going to make my own little account. I'm going to share what I think. And, maybe because I have trading in my username, maybe some of these people will answer me and actually teach me some stuff, right? So, it really did evolve. And obviously, just like everybody else on Twitter here, everybody kind of started with the swing trading commons, and then you go into the penny stocks, and then from the penny stocks you start to learn about options, and then from options you start just trading indices, and then from that you go into futures, and that was kind of the full evolution. But throughout that process, of course, again, beginner's luck maybe. To me, it was completely beginner's luck. I came in at the right time with the right amount of money, and really gave me some cushion to actually learn how to do this. And it wasn't an overnight thing, right? I wasn't born with a gift to read price action or anything like that. I really had to spend a lot of time to get better at this. And ultimately, hold on. It says host is having connection issues. Just if you guys can hear, just drop a thumbs up or something like that. That would be appreciated. Oh, you can hear me fine? Okay. Yeah, so, as time goes on, obviously, once you start to make that transition into swing trading commons, into, scalping intraday, options and things like that, there's definitely a learning curve. And while there was definitely difficulty with that, I did find more than enough to maintain, being able to do this for a living, right? But the difference was, at that point, was the level of consistency that I needed to feel actually comfortable doing this at a long-term rate and being sustainable long-term. It was just not there. There would be weeks where I would make a ton of money, and then there are other weeks where I'd lose, and sometimes outweighed the amount that I made the week prior, So at a certain point, I was almost at like a breaking point, if you will, where I'm just like, I need to level up on this consistency. And what could I do to become more consistent? Because, I at a certain point, I was always a disciplined person. I played baseball in college. I went to class, graduated college, graduated grad school, did all this stuff. And then once you're done with that, you kind of lose a lot of structure and your discipline, which is absolutely necessary to do this effectively. Just lacking a little bit. And I felt like I was just kind of shooting from the hip. So, that was one thing that I thought was really difficult to overcome. And I'm going to tie that in a second. But really, the second thing that was difficult for me to overcome was, and no matter what I learned, any strategy, using any indicator, this, that, whatever, it was just really, really difficult for me to ever feel confident that I could actually trust that thing to tell me the right answer, and tell me the right answer in a way that I could actually, put down a substantial amount of money onto a specific contract, right? To me, looking back on it, I just cannot believe that I would ever do something like that. It's just like mind-blowing. But I needed more. I needed a justification. I needed to know why it was a fake breakout, right? Like all the people on Twitter say now, right? Or I needed to understand why, that bull flag failed. Why did it fail? There's always a reason. Now, after a while longer, of me kind of kicking the can back and forth and still trying to make my previous strategy work, I think it ultimately came down to the fact of what you're learning. That is the true differentiator between success and, whether you call it limbo or failure, whatever you want, however you want to put it down. And I think with time, you will be able to kind of find something that really does resonate well with you and something that you could stick to. And, maybe you don't need that level of justification that I needed. I needed to know why something worked, why something didn't work. And for the longest time, I always thought, this is random. Everything is random in the stock market. You can't time the market. And then I started to learn how to read price. And really, that was the turning point for everything for me. My level of consistency had I don't want to say, a complete 180, but pretty damn close to it. It just really opened my eyes to a completely different world. And, from that point, now it's just a matter of, every day just kind of going through the same type of, repetition, same type of model, and not being, ever doubtful of the work that I put in, right? I mean, look, ultimately, with time, I think everybody will learn and get better. But to me, that next level is to, learn the right things. And I know I don't agree with a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people don't agree with me. I'm just telling you from my personal experience that learning what I would deem the right things is obviously the most important thing that I needed to become more consistent and be able to, have a sustainable future doing this. You're also automatically, you're kind of going out on a limb. You're doing something that not many people will do, right? They won't take that chance on themselves. They won't put in that extra hour of watching a YouTube video or something like that. All they want to do right off the bat is, I'm going to make money. And then when they lose, they just want to sulk about it and, be a crybaby or be a troll on Twitter and complain, instead of actually just, okay, I effed up. I don't know if I can curse, but I effed up and I'm going to be better. How can I be better? I need to put more time into it, right? Over time, I mean, the amount of messages that I've got from kind of the same people who, they'll get to a point, I'm doing well, and they just hit the wall and they fall off the wagon. It's like, okay, well, like, what did you do differently at that point? And it always comes back to the same thing. They don't show up for live calls. They don't actually practice at night. There's literally software that you can use and trade, whatever day in history that you want and practice, and figure out some sort of model that's sustainable to you and something that you can practice it. And obviously it'll make sense to you and you can justify moves, whether you were right, whether you were wrong. You can always go back and you can figure out as to why something happened. None of this is random. That's something that I try to bring light to on my page. I completely disagree with the quote unquote randomness of the market. And that's why I do share certain things that, we can go back to later on. And, and it's not trying to be like a conceited type thing, but it's just to kind of show everybody that with a sustainable model that you actually put in the time and practice, over and over again, and you can back test this thing. Timmy, I know you do it all the time as well, but something that you can back test and, again, make it make sense to you. If it makes sense to you, great. I tell everybody this, like, you don't have to trade like me. I'm showing you what I do, like my model, what my criteria is to be entering a trade, but you don't have to trade like me. If you find something else that works for you, that is absolutely excellent, and I'm happy for you. But you'll notice that, whether you're using one of these indicators or reading price or, whatever, you're not going to really find that level of consistency that everybody is striving for unless you have something that is repeatable and something that you can write down, and if somebody asks you a question about it, you can explain it. I don't think many people on here really can do that, and that's a scary, scary thing, especially with some of these people who have all these followers. So, but, in short, ultimately, I totally think that the two hardest things, or the things that you struggle with the most, is really the level of discipline that's actually necessary to be successful at something like this. Because, again, you're doing something that nobody really wants you to be successful at, right? Maybe your family, maybe your closest friends in the world, but all the other people that you talk to on it, they really don't want you to be successful. And the reason why I say that is because, think about it. They're waking up every morning at 7 a.m. They're going to work until 7 p.m. Do you think they're going to be happy to hear that somebody is sitting on a computer pressing buttons and making just as much, if not more money than they are? Come on. Doesn't make sense, right? They're not going to be happy about that. So that's why, especially early on, I tried to keep it as close to the vest as possible. I didn't, run around and tell all my friends, oh, look, I made a stock Twitter and I'm a index futures trader. I trade options contract. I didn't tell anybody that. And honestly, I'm happy that I didn't, because then the expectation is on you. Oh, how much money did you make, man? Or, when you go to the bathroom at dinner, look, yeah, he thinks he's a trader, he fucking sucks, he failed, all this stuff. So it's just better to keep your mind clear of all of that and just really focus on your mission. And when you get focused on your mission and you start to invest time in yourself rather than, maybe stop playing video games, maybe watch an hour of a YouTube video, or, go through some tweets, maybe go through your own charts, practice. I think that's much more beneficial, especially, you say you want it bad, then just do it. I've gotten endless amount of messages over the years. Oh, I just want this so bad. I need to make X amount of money, and then I'm going to be so happy. It's like, okay, well, do something about it. I'm just like really fed up on hearing the same stuff over and over again from people who just don't put in the work and the effort that's necessary to be successful at it. So I know it's long-winded, but that's just ultimately my take on the entire situation.